Oh, na me now. Oh, me na. Oh, me na na. Oh, me na. We na na. We oh me na. We. Oh, me na. Oh, me na na na. We oh me. Oh na. We na. We na. We na. We na. Na. We oh we. Now.
I mean, that's the vibe of it, right? Like,
Yeah.
I guess we're in the show now, but like, that's really the vibe of the Star Wars Holiday Special. It's just kind of it. Maybe
Wait,
we
sorry.
miss.
Are we doing intros and shit or?
Yeah, hi there, and welcome to the High Ground, a Doof bonus content
Yeah,
show
okay,
where we're
fine,
venturing
whatever.
into DreamWorks Shrek franchise. I'm your tortured gingerbread host, Reuben Morehouse.
Elliot.
Donkey!
Classic. It's good every time. But yeah, like maybe we're fundamentally misunderstanding the point of the holiday special, and it's just meant to be on in the background, and you're not really meant to pay attention to it, right? Like I can imagine that, and that maybe really it's actually really good because there are so many bits that are good at not drawing attention away from like people opening presents or whatever, you know?
Yeah,
And
I'm
then
not gonna lie. I did my Christmas shopping in the last 2 hours.
I also have now
Nice.
got Christmas gifts for everyone in my family.
I was just making power-related memes. So, like, it's doing its job. If that's what its job is, it kind of is doing its job, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's true. Actually, like these are supposed to be shit that just gets thrown on free-to-air TV, right?
Yeah.
Like I suppose the point is it's meant to be on in the background while the family's gathering on Christmas Eve or whatever.
Mm. So, yeah, like, maybe it's really good. And actually, the bit where there's a four-armed chef in blackface, we just misunderstand it, and it's meant
No,
to be.
I feel pretty
That's supposed
confident
to
in my read
scare
on
you
that
off.
part.
Oh, okay. My mistake. Yeah, it puts you to sleep, doesn't it?
It's basically like a sedative.
The
It's
Jefferson
post-
Starship
Yeah.
musical part, is the one that makes me zone out by far the most. I occasionally get drawn in by the just aggressively purple effects they've put on them.
Makes me so sleepy.
But yeah, like, and that's the part I remember I passed out in the first time I ever watched the special.
All right. If we had to guess, what time of day did the Star Wars Holiday Special air?
I reckon it started at 6:30.
I mean,
Or
I
7:30.
assumed it was like a mid-afternoon, like maybe 2 p.m. thing, but I have no idea why I'm thinking that.
Now, I did ask that question without guaranteeing that I'd be able to find the answer to it. So I apologize. But I'm kind of vibing that it's a post-lunch thing. So it's like 2:30, you've all eaten lunch, and you're about to fall asleep on the couch. That's the vibe that this gives me.
So you guys are assuming it airs on Christmas Day?
I mean, I don't know.
I thought it was probably like the week before Christmas.
Yeah, I imagined it was in the week leading into it. I'm actually reading here the original air date was November 17th.
That's
1978,
early.
which is very early.
That's before Thanksgiving, maybe, is it? I don't know when Thanksgiving is because I'm not American.
It's one of the Thursdays.
Yeah,
when is Thanksgiving?
Yeah, maybe that's
the last Thursday, I think,
of November.
So that's pretty close.
Oh no, the fourth Thursday.
Yeah, so that would be pretty close. That would be like the week after Thanksgiving. So maybe it's not a Christmas. Maybe it's a Thanksgiving special.
Have we just cracked the code? Does the
Because I mean, there
make
is a
sense
cooking.
now?
I guess you do both, but Thanksgiving is the one I would associate with food more.
Maybe they've kept it vague so it can really be either. It can be whatever you want it to be. It's so magical.
Because it's not like there's like a big focus on presents, is there?
No, yeah, the man whose name I still don't remember.
The trader dude.
He brings gifts for all of them, doesn't he? And they're sort of wrapped in like Christmas looking.
True. Okay. Yeah, whatever. Maybe it's just shit then, and there's no. We're just striving to find underlying logic in this where there just isn't any.
Probably.
So yeah, I mean, I guess how did everyone cope with watching this again? Are we going to keep doing this Paul Blart or Till Death Do Us Blart nonsense?
I hope so. Next year we'll have the documentary, the behind the scenes documentary that goes into the like details of it, and
it would be really good to watch the two of those. That would be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, like The Room and The Disaster Artist back to back, which is what I did with I think one of you two.
Might have been me. We
Yeah,
it
we
wasn't me.
watched The Room, and then we actually drove to Coffs Harbour and
That's
camped
right.
there for the night and watched because it
Yeah,
wasn't they weren't showing it in Armadale.
that's right. Yeah, so we packed up a tent and
Yeah,
went
and we
down
were
and
like all on
camped.
holidays
Yeah,
or something, so we just went to Coffs for the night.
yeah. So, and
Worth it.
that was great watching those like a night apart.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think we said that last year. I've like some vague memories of last year's episode, and I'm pretty sure our biggest takeaway was we'd watched the absolute shit out of a behind the scenes documentary for this. So I'm so glad someone's finally they listened to us.
I wonder
and now
if Mark
someone's making it.
Hamill will be keen to be in this. I know
He
he
does-
regrets having been
Yeah.
in the holiday special, but would he be in a documentary about it? Probably.
Yeah, he memes about it on Twitter, doesn't he? Because wasn't there like, didn't he make a joke during the 2020 presidential election about like the debate being the worst thing he'd ever seen, and he was in the Star Wars holiday special?
I think so, yeah.
Oh,
So that shows that he's reached like the acceptance stage of having been in this. I think.
okay.
He's gone
8
through all of the stages of grief.
Yeah, exactly.
It aired, according to this article I'm looking at in Vanity Fair, it aired from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. on November 17th.
Look, I mean,
Which
that
is
fits with the
surprisingly
porn
late.
thing. It fits with the
Yeah.
porn thing, but it doesn't fit with the fact that it stars Lumpy, who's clearly aimed at
Yeah.
children. Very confusing.
The lumpy aspect is really weird because it gives off the vibes of, oh, this is a special for children, so we need like a child in a prominent role, which is like what so many things do. But then he's just terrifying, and like 10 minutes later, you watch his grandpa watch porn. It's just
So
like this
weird.
wild swing. It's weird.
Still don't know who it's for. Like it's for everyone and it's for no one.
So
I guess okay. My thoughts on the whether we should keep watching and stuff. I'm sort of in two minds because on the one hand, it was not as bad as I remembered. I think maybe some of the shock has gone, and you sort of know what to expect. And maybe I'd hyped it up in my brain, and it wasn't like as bad. And I wasn't concentrating as much because I'd kind of already seen it. But then on the other hand, I really wasn't concentrating on it that much. Like, I don't know. I watched it, but I also didn't watch it. I also was on my phone and.
I feel like there's not
I
that
didn't
much
mind
for
that.
us to say about it, but
We
that doesn't
didn't
mean we
talk a
shouldn't
whole lot
force
during
ourselves
it.
to watch it. I feel like we started out talking a fair amount, but by the end, oh boy, we would. I think
so
we were all just
sleepy.
falling asleep. Yeah,
Yeah, I've written some things here, just like, but it's all just such, like one thing I noticed, there's no
I'm
snow.
looking at your notes now, Elliot. Some of your notes are old tech in space time, racism, porn. Like it's deep stuff.
These are just words, single words.
But that you really can distill it down to a series of 15 one-word notes.
I didn't realize we were taking notes. It's just an empty bullet point on my page.
No, it's a weird choice that there's no snow in this, right? That's one of my notes that I actually want to bring up.
Oh, I mean, because there's whole like snow planet at the start of the next movie, so maybe they didn't want to take away from that sort of energy at the start of Empire Strikes Back.
I mean, how is everyone's favorite part still B. Arthur singing to the cantina?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know what else would be.
Keep it interesting. What's your second most favoritist part?
Like genuinely favorite or like so bad it's funny favorite.
Yeah, whatever. Whichever one you enjoy the most.
Because like the porn bit and the
porn bit
blackface
is
bit,
funny.
they make me very uncomfortable. Like it is sort of funny, but it's also genuinely like
the blackface one I get no joy from.
Yeah,
same as the breaking down robot one, which is just nothing.
It's so boring. I have no memory of that. I was not watching at all.
It's one joke that goes for like 10 minutes. It's
okay. I'm gonna say my second favorite bit is probably the animated bit.
Yeah,
because it's something different. Like it's
so the
funny
one
and
that looks
bizarre.
like...
It's got Boba Fett.
And it's so fucking weirdly animated. Like,
it is.
Yeah.
It looks like the Zelda TV show from the
Yeah.
80s,
Yeah.
but like droopy, like just extra. Everything's so droopy.
Yeah. All the characters look
It's-
absolutely terrible.
And they forgot to draw everybody's pupils and or eyes all together, which is like just weird. And C-3PO's eyes closing in the wrong direction is just so like, I guess it's not uncanny valley. It's just, I don't know, it's just disturbing.
It's just
I hated
bizarre,
it.
isn't it? Yeah.
But that's bad, funny, bad, not bad, bad, bad.
Yeah. Okay. Can either of you tell me the unabridged names of Itchy and Lumpy? I've got them in front of me here.
No.
Lumpa Waroo for Lumpy. And
You're
it's like
so close. You're like
is
really
it
close.
not? Is it not Lumpa Waroo?
No, you're so close.
Is he missing like one syllable or something?
Yeah. Not even a syllable, like a sound. It's Lumpa-Rump.
Really?
But I'm very impressed, Elliot.
And then Itchy, I want to say it's like Itchituck or something.
Oh my god, he's so good. It's Atachitchuk, I
I was
think.
going to say, I didn't think the itchy was the start. I thought it was like in the middle of the name.
Atitchichuk.
I think I got like a like
You were
P's
very
make degrees.
Yeah.
I got 50%. I'm happy with that.
I think you got. I would give you about 85%.
Well, you did better than my just no.
Atachitchuk. Atachit.
What about his wife?
Maybe.
Can anybody even tell me her abridged name? Because I forgot it already.
It's Marla.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like
Marla.
It's like Nala from Lion King.
But
Wait,
not.
is it Nala or Marla?
I think it's Mala with an M.
Okay, cool.
But they changed it a bit when they ripped it off in the Lion King.
And what's her? Oh no, that's a planet called Marla. Hold on. Her full name is no, not a Twi'lek. No, Marla. There's so many characters called Marla. Okay, here we go. Her full name is Ellie. Do you want to try and guess it?
Oh, this one would be a complete guess, like Malarala?
Nah, well off. This one is Marla Tobuck.
Of course.
Sure.
And the quote on her Wikipedia page here is from Han Solo to Chewbacca saying, "Hey, you're the married one. Find me a human girl with Marla's brains and silky hair and maybe I'll consider it." Which just is a weird thing to say.
Actually, something Georgia brought up on this watch, which I don't know if we talked about this last time. It's weird that Itchy is watching like a human woman. Right? Like, I guess I don't know enough about Star Wars lore to know if interspecies relationships like that are common or whatever.
Because they have interspecies relationships like in Star Wars, but I mean, not Wookiees. Which then I guess the follow-on question is like, are there certain species that are like genetically compatible? You know how like within
it's
the
like
animal
Pokemon breeding
kingdom-
groups.
Well, I was going to say within real animals, how you can have like within like you can have different species that can breed like different species of bear and stuff. Like I think brown bears and polar bears can make babies, and you'll have things like ligers, like a lion and a tiger can have a baby, but they're infertile and stuff like that. Like whether certain species are close enough genetically that they can produce offspring, but certain ones aren't, which makes sense. Right? Like a Twi'lek and a human, I guess, can make a baby, but like maybe a human and a Wookiee are not genetically compatible.
Don't get me started. Just the concept that
Oh, God,
aliens from
Peter.
different planets can be genetically compatible. It just Reuben, what the fuck?
Because, okay, following on from that, sex isn't all about making babies. So I suppose,
Yeah.
you know, she doesn't have to make a baby to enjoy whoever that name is of that lady.
So I've just posted in chat. I'm going to post it in the Discord as well because I just think it's delightful. I found a picture on Marla's Wikipedia page of what she looked like when she was younger, and it's really, she looks like, God, I can't even remember what it is, but like kind of like a female werewolf in a like early 2000s movie, you know?
Yeah. Or like that Teen Wolf TV show.
Yeah, that kind of horrifying, like
Uncanny Valley.
hairy, vibe that just is kind of unsettling.
Well, yeah. See, I guess that's what I was wondering. Like, is Itchy like some sort of reverse furry?
Yeah.
The
But
skinny,
then I
they're
guess
called.
It's hard to
he
know.
has. He's Chewbacca's dad, right? So
So maybe Chewbacca
not
is half
exclusively,
human
at
or
least.
something.
Yeah.
And like Jabba the Hutt had all his like sort of sexy dancers who were not like whatever the species the Hutts are.
I mean,
So is that for
they're
everybody
Hutts.
else, or does he find?
It's in the name, Georgia. He's a Hutt.
I don't. Is that the species or the family or both?
No,
Who
I
knows?
think that's the species.
No, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure it's his family. Maybe it is both. Fuck
No,
knows.
it's his species. He's a Hutt. His homeworld is Nal Hutta. The language they speak is Huttese.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Yeah. I
Whatever.
think it's both because their name is also like Hutt, which I suppose.
Yeah, he's called Jabba the Hutt. Like, what a shitty name system on their planet.
Yeah.
Everyone is just someone the
on their
Hutt.
planet. He's from Tatooine, isn't he?
Well, yeah,
Well,
but
he
his
lives
homeworld,
on-
like,
Oh yeah, that's
where
right,
he, where his species evolved or
His
whatever they
homeworld
do
is
in
called
Star Wars.
Nal
I don't,
Hutta.
Yeah.
I don't know if the Force just makes them one day, or, like,
Okay,
or if
so
evolution.
also
exists.
the Hutt cartel is a group of crime families. So
Yeah, I think that's what I'm kind of thinking of.
Yeah.
Is that I suppose there's also like a sort of crime family.
but it's just
the
they're all
Hutts.
just Hutts.
Yeah, so he's got all these like sexy dancers who are like humans and Twi'leks and stuff. So are they like? Does he find them sexy, or is that for everybody else? What does Jabba the Hutt find sexy? You know,
These are the questions
Yeah,
we
it's a
need to
good
ask.
this is
question.
important. This is on brand for the holiday special. I'm not getting
Yeah.
weirder than that thing.
Do
think
Wookiees
anyway.
find humans attractive? I'm googling because, like,
Somebody's asked this question.
there have been so many. Oh gosh,
I mean, honestly, kind of the thing is, right? As like they're all, it's all sentient beings. Like, as long as they're all adult sentient beings consenting, I don't really have a problem with it. And like George just said, like,
anything can happen.
yeah, if you're not like trying to make babies or whatever, then like who cares?
So
But
going back to the Clone Wars, I know Elliot ended up watching all of it. Reuben, you probably didn't get to this, but there's
if you're about to talk about
Jabba's-
Jar Jar's, yeah,
no,
I knew
I'm
it.
not talking about Jar Jar.
Oh.
Actually, I'm talking about Jabba the Hutt's cousin. What's his name?
Bobby the Hutt.
Oh,
The one who
the
talks really annoying voice.
yeah.
And there's an episode where he has a lover, which is the sort of weird frog-looking lady who sings in Jabba's palace. So she's obviously not a Hutt, but they've got something going on. And she's just sort of another sort of, I mean, I guess he looks like a slug and she looks like a frog.
Yeah, so they're
Is
made
that
for each other.
anything? I don't know. Slugs and frogs aren't that adjacent. They're just
I mean,
both live in moist environments.
It's kind of on brand for Star Wars to sort of, on the one level, have this like really nice inclusive vibe of anyone can love anyone, like as long as you're consenting adults, but then also only do that in practice by having people with weird thematic ties, like frogs and slugs are both sticky, so we'll put them next to each other. Like,
Yeah. I mean, this isn't a point. I just want to mention that Frog Lady exists in The Mandalorian and she's the best.
Yes, she is great.
And she has a frogman husband.
So I'm trying to find if there are any.
And they make tadpoles.
I'm trying to find if there's any canonical information on whether Wookiees and humans, like, if there's any canonical relationships between Wookiees and humans. And I've been Googling it, and the closest I've found is a Quora question that just says, with no context, do animals find humans to be attractive? Which is just horrifying. What is the context to this question?
wasn't there a dolphin at a zoo somewhere that fell in love with one of its human keepers?
Mm.
I don't know.
It was like a whole thing. 'Cause it raised animal ethics stuff because she used to pleasure it, and then it like fell in love with her, and it got real weird. I saw like a
Why
10
did
minute
she
YouTube video.
pleasure it?
Do you
that
want
was like
to know the answer to that question?
What the?
it, no, this was covered in the article or YouTube video. I don't even remember which one it was that I read, and I remember it was like
Is it like a medical thing, or was it like, oh god?
it was one of those things where she gave the explanation for why it started, and it kind of felt like you could tell when she said it, it was like, oh, this is why it's normal that I started this. But even reading it, I was like,
Yeah.
that's still weird
Yeah.
that you did that.
Yeah, I was like,
Bizarre. Also, like a dog humps a person's leg is like that's not like attraction. It's just a dog is stupid and weird, and they just haven't been de-sexed. I guess like this is a question that didn't need to be asked. A question that does need to be asked is this picture that has been posted.
yeah, sorry, just strolling around the wikis and stuff.
Reuben's just posting sexualized Wookiee content.
I can't help it. I just come across it, and it's just so attractive. I think I'm a reverse itchy.
Why does like Chewie has these big like furry tree trunk legs, and then the female Wookiee has these like sexy lady legs? Of course.
I love that he's smoking.
Is he?
Yeah, that's what you do after you have sex, Elliot. Haven't you ever
Oh
seen
god, he
any
is
movie?
too. Just. Oh.
Something
Okay.
else I wanted to talk about in a desperate attempt to move us away from that topic
Yeah, please.
is like
God.
once again, one of the standouts of watching this for me was the weird time capsule effect of like seeing 1970s ads.
Yeah.
Like the toys, it's something that really jumped out to me this watch. The toys they're advertising for kids were fucking dope. Like, I reckon that was better than half the shit I grew up with.
Yeah, they were good shit.
Like they had that car that could follow any line you drew.
That was
I
pretty
don't
cool.
think they had that like level of
I feel like
capability
we
when I was a kid.
did have one of those,
Did we?
but it followed maybe something else. I don't think it was lines that you drew. But
You
there
thinking
was
of a
like
Hot Wheel?
I don't know. I don't know what I'm thinking of. It's like a super vague memory. But that you had like mats that had roads on them, maybe, and you put them together, and the cars drove on the roads. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
I
it's
do
just this
remember
super
that.
vague memory.
Yeah, that does sound familiar. It was like a puzzle piece of
Yeah,
yeah.
but maybe the car only followed the roads or something.
It did. Oh wow, I stand corrected. Yeah. No, I that memory's coming back to me.
Yeah.
There was also a toy robot who was called Tobor, and the tagline was "Tobor is robot backwards." I
Yeah,
just love.
they had some terrible taglines in these ads. There was an ad for what I think was a General Motors ad, and the tagline
Yep.
was something like "machines that help people do things that people want to do," or
Yeah.
something ridiculous like that. It was so fucking
It's like
clunky.
the advertising industry was in its infancy, and they were like still. It's like a Jerry Smith, like hungry for apples, like that kind of vibe.
Yeah, it was pretty dumb.
But I think when you say all our toys were shit, Ellie, you're forgetting that Furbies existed and were just Furbies. They were so disturbing and fun, and I just wanted so many Furbies. Like, man.
I remember helping Mum like move some stuff. I would have been 20. It was while I was at college, and I came home, and Mum and Dad were, like packing up just like a lot of stuff, and I was helping her move around like stuff in the storage space. And we moved this like big like plastic tub of like all of our toys from when we were infants, and one of the Furbies just activated.
They're so creepy.
And it just started screaming, and it was like, I don't think anybody had touched that. Like, if I was 20, you and Ham would have been 18. Like, nobody would have touched that thing for a decade, and it fucking sat there dormant with these batteries, just waiting to spook us.
And you used to stick your finger in its mouth and it'd be like, nummy, and things like that were just so fucking weird. Like, I can't remember what you like did with them. Did you?
I don't think you did
pat them
anything.
or something?
Yeah, I think you pet them, and that's basically.
And then they'd
it.
be like, "Oh, hi." I can't even remember. What did Furbies do?
I used
Google?
to go online and watch videos of people putting them in the microwave.
Yeah, I remember
Mm.
that. That was a big thing.
That was like when like the internet was still in its infancy, and it was like, you know, the
That's
first
all
like
people had to do
scandalous
for
thing.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Furbies spoke Furbish, and so they didn't speak English. Well, there you go.
They're
I
basically
remember that.
Wookiees, right? Like,
Well,
they're
Well, they're
apparently
Ewoks.
there was new ones produced in 2012
Mm.
that attached to your smartphone.
No, thank you.
Yeah, no way.
Would you buy a Wookiee Furby?
And it only speaks Kashyyyk. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it only goes. Oh, that was way better.
That was good, Georgia. Holy shit.
done a lot of that, and also Yoda voice.
That was Yoda. Anyway, should we continue and talk about Shrek?
Anyway, he's not in this.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, has anything else I want to say about the holiday special?
Nah, it's shit.
Yeah, pretty much sums it up.
Oh, I still really enjoyed the joke with the guy who's got a volcano in his head and he pours water into his head and then he has 6 fingers.
Yeah.
Because he says, "You said 6 magic words to me," and he counts them on his 6 fingers. And it's such a stupid joke, but I really love it.
Yeah, it's good shit.
Just again, a bit that I've forgotten that whole uncomfortable. That guy makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, there's a bit where he hugs B. Arthur and it's very...
It's super, like...
yeah, I shrink into myself. I can't handle it.
It's meant to, like, and I mean, that's the problem, is you can tell the special's kind of like, oh, isn't he, like, disarmingly socially unaware? And it's like, no, he's just a harasser.
She's
harassing.
Obviously uncomfortable with his presence, and he keeps like calling her back over, and it's just like, oh god, this poor lady's trying to work, man.
Something that actually, one last comment as well. Something that really jumped out to me watching it this time: the editing on the Star Wars Holiday Special is so slow. Like, it reminded me of writing essays in high school, and when I fell short of the word count, adding words to sentences to make them longer. Like, there's just shots that go for 3 seconds longer than they need to, just because they're padding for time.
Yeah, it feels long and slow.
Each crossfade between scenes is like 5 seconds long, if not more. It's ridiculous.
It's like something that I didn't realize was being done for me when people were editing films that I watched. Like, I didn't realize, like, you talk about pace when you watch a movie, like, oh, it felt a bit slow, it felt a bit fast, but this like really shows you what it's like when something just goes for too long. It's like, I didn't know this was a problem that was being avoided, but now I do.
And it's just everything. Like, even there's the part where the Empire like comes in to do an alert on the TV, and it does this like spiral along the screen in the shot of red, and it takes about 5 full seconds, maybe even 10, to fill in.
Yeah.
And all the characters just stand there and watch it, and the camera doesn't move. And you just sit there for 10 seconds watching this screen inside your screen fill up with red, like a shitty Pokemon battle animation.
But longer. Like the Pokemon one was like diddle diddle diddle, and that's
very long.
This one's like diddle diddle diddle.
Like, it's just so dragged out. Honestly, something I was thinking while watching this is, it's a shame that the 1970s didn't have more ads on TV.
Yeah, the
like,
ads
imagine
were the best
if we got
bit this time, huh?
Yeah, like if you aired this now, you'd have to cut about 20 minutes of the special in order to make up for the fact that they air more and longer ads now.
Which may have made the special better, because they wouldn't have fucked around with so many like transitions.
This thing was just ahead of its time.
Yeah, sure. Hey, outside of sort of not quite an ad, I really enjoyed the quick news break.
That was fun.
And she was talking about like somebody had released like confidential documents and
it's real Cold War shit.
Yeah, it was super Cold War-y. It was like really interesting. And then there was just like a bit at the end that was really ridiculous. What was it?
It was like there was a report because there was a lot of snowfall, and last time there was a lot of snowfall, people were saying that it would cause some scientists were saying it would cause an uptick in birth rates, and the news reporter was like, but that was proven wrong. I suppose all the men were outside shoveling snow. And it was just so, and then that was it. It was just like, fucking hilarious.
See you next time, yeah.
It was the most 70s news joke I've ever heard, and I loved it.
Maybe instead of watching the holiday special every year, we should just watch old 70s ads from before we were born and enjoy them.
I went on a binge a couple of months ago with someone watching like advertisements and theme songs for like 90s like ABC Kids TV shows. That was fantastic. Like seeing ads that used to play during Saturday Disney here in Australia. Oh, incredible.
Yeah, it's like those things that you didn't even realize you'd forgotten.
Yeah, and it baffles me that they still exist. Like, who are these champions of, our time that were recording that shit to VHS in the 90s so that dipshits like me could enjoy it on YouTube another 20 years after that?
Whoever they were, thanks to them.
Yeah, the heroes we need.
Speaking of holding out for heroes, we watched the Shrek.
Nice.
What was it even called? Oh, Shrek the Halls.
Shrek the Halls
that's
with
it.
Puss and Donkey.
Yeah. Anyway, it was pretty fun. You know, the best thing about it in comparison to the Star Wars holiday special is
It was 30
minutes long.
Yeah.
Exactly. But I do genuinely think it was probably better than Shrek 3.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It was funnier. It was shorter.
Oh, yeah, I actually
Yeah.
think it was about the same level of quality as Shrek 3. It just didn't annoy you as much because it was a third the length.
Yeah, and I feel like they probably were able to cut out some of the bad bits. There was still some bad shit in there. But there was also maybe one of the funniest jokes in any Shrek piece of media ever, which is when they're all recounting their Christmas tales and Gingy recounts his, and it's a fucking horror show because he's a gingerbread man and people leave out cookies for Santa. And Santa just murders his girlfriend, and it's fucking hilarious.
And they're like, oh, that's not how the story goes. And he's like, you weren't there. It's like, oh shit, that actually happened.
Yeah,
it's
his
real.
isn't a made-up story like everyone else's. He's just recounting a trauma he went through.
And they're all just like, boo,
It's
get
fun.
off the stage.
It's good.
It is very good.
Yeah, honestly, the only criticism I'd really level at this special was that all of those best tales were quite loaded at the end. I think the special opened with its weakest material.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And then maybe that tricked me into lowering my expectations just so it could raise them again. But yeah, I really liked the recurring joke of like the ogre version of Christmas decorations. So like instead of like the ring of mistletoe or whatever that you stick on your front door, that big wreath of plant matter.
Holly, I think it is.
Yeah. Instead of that, he had like a toilet seat.
There's a lot of like fart humor. I sort of hate it, but I get that that's what Shrek is.
Yeah.
There were times it worked. Like there were like one or two that I laughed at. In general, I just find it kind of cringy, but there were a few that worked.
Yeah.
But like the other decorations were like instead of like nice Christmas lights, he had just like different colored like beer bottles and stuff. Like it was like there's like somebody sat down and was like, how can we make Christmas aesthetic as trashy as possible? And I really enjoyed it. Like they were roasting an opossum. It was great.
Yeah, I mean it was fun. Again, I don't know if there's that much to say about it. It was,
I guess it's like, do you want to talk about, I don't know, the message, which is like weird because it's basically like, look, family is annoying and shitty and you just have to put up with them because that's what you've got to do on Christmas.
That was kind of
essentially
strange.
The theme. That's what the takeaway message was. And I don't know how I feel about that.
I actually don't know that they really like it was inconsistent on that because so basically what happens is Shrek is like super clear that he only wants a Christmas with Fiona and his kids. And he tells everyone that, and none of them listen, and they throw a big party at his house and like wreck all his shit. And then he throws a tantrum and gets them to leave, and it was entirely justified. Then all the characters are leaving, and they sort of
They're
like, oh, you know what?
Massively butthurt about it.
Yeah, but then they turn around and they're like, hey, you know what? None of us actually listened to Shrek. Maybe we should have heard what he wanted. And so then both groups kind of apologize to each other, and it's a bit like, oh, Shrek was wrong, but also they were wrong, and then they just go back to doing what they were like. I don't really understand what the message was.
That's true. It was just like we all just disagree, and we all just have realized that we all just disagreed. The end.
Yeah.
You'll know, since 2010, Mike Myers has had maybe 10 acting credits on IMDb. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13. Or 11 if you don't count or 10 if you don't count things that's not out yet. And of those, like 6 of them are Shrek credits. And this is, 2010 is post all the first 3 Shrek films and stuff. So it's like Donkey's Christmas Shrektacular and shit. Like, does he just not do anything anymore except for Shrek?
Except Shrek.
I
I
mean,
guess
given
if
the
you
amount
make
of money,
from it, why not?
Yeah. I imagine he's getting enough to just live off doing Shrek nonsense every couple of years.
It's hardcore. Anyway, that one was only 30 minutes, so do we have anything to say about that? The Gingy stuff was great. Donkey was
As
a bit
always.
weak. Puss in Boots' bit was fun. I don't know.
I enjoyed when everyone was doing the dance party and then Dragon was outside jamming. There's something
Yeah.
just hilarious about her like stomping her feet and the ground shaking.
Well,
Yeah. Actually,
that's...
sorry,
Oh.
I've got something. What's the point of Christmas specials? Like, I guess because thinking about this, it was just like another random series of skits
Yeah.
that were kind of like this one did a better job of saying, okay, let's try and bring Christmas ideas into the world of Shrek. And it did get a few hits, but it
Yeah.
just makes me realize like all of these holiday specials just seem to be let's do weird little skit shows
But I
as
think that's
cheaply
the
as
point
possible.
of a holiday special, right? It's just to have some loosely connected bits, and it doesn't have to be great. It just has to be entertaining enough to be on TV, basically.
Yeah. It's just that it's so weird that that's become
That's a thing.
such a
it's
thing.
got to be. It's less of a thing, right? Like in that now, TV shows are probably more prominent and tend to just have like a Christmas episode or a Thanksgiving episode or a Halloween episode or whatever.
Yeah.
Which
But
is
I-
probably preferable because they still tend to actually produce like an episode as opposed to this, which is like not actually a movie.
Yeah, like Doctor Who always had the Christmas episode every year, and those fucking ruled. And half of them had nothing to do with Christmas. In fact, all of my favorite ones had nothing to do with Christmas.
Yeah.
But I guess it was easier when it's a TV show because you just produce it like another episode.
Mm.
Yeah, and you just have like a loose Christmas or whatever other holiday sort of woven into the plot.
Yeah. What's weird is since Chris Chibnall took over Doctor Who, they've pivoted. Now they do New Year's specials. So there's always an episode of Doctor Who on New Year's Day.
Mm.
And it's just such a weird...
Why? That's weird.
Do you think because it's non-denominational?
But there's nothing to New Year's. Like, I think even
There's
the thing
no
is, even if you
lore
drift...
or anything.
Yeah, like if you drift away from Christmas and just go as like a general holiday special, like there's still sort of general vibes that are a bit shared between like Christmas, Hanukkah, and like everything else. Like just because they're all these sort of winter holiday.
Yeah.
New Year's
That's a
is
good
just
point.
nothing. It and all the stories. I mean, this year's one is going to be a time loop Dalek story, so I'm into it because it's a time loop story. But the others have all just been nothing.
I guess like where with a sort of Christmassy or holiday one, it's like you may sort of exclude some people who don't believe in the holidays or find it offensive or something. Whereas New Year's just means nothing to anyone, like it's not special to anyone.
Which I guess makes it better. No, go the other way. Do a Halloween special. That's what you need to do.
Yep, agreed.
Those are fun.
They're always fun because Halloween, I'm still like just forever salty that it's not a thing in Australia because it's the best holiday. You just dress up and you just have fun, and like there's a bit of mythos there, but nobody actually takes it seriously. Like it's not like people are not like, I actually need to ward off the spirits. Like, well, maybe some small amount of people, but it's just like a fun holiday about dressing up and having fun as opposed to like, nobody finds, well, some people find Halloween offensive, I suppose, but probably more so somewhere like Australia where it's not like an accepted holiday.
Do you remember when we tried to do trick-or-treating in Armidale when we were like, I would have been 8 or 9, so you would have been 5 or 6?
Yeah, it was always a miserable failure. You just end up going to your friends' houses and just everybody just was confused.
Well,
And
yeah,
some
I remember.
old
So
lady,
one
like-
time we teamed up with a friend of yours and Hannah's who lived just down the road, and so it was like you three, and then like me and her brother, who I think was like a year older than me, and basically, so we went to their house, got some candy from their mum, went to our house, got some candy from our parents, and then we tried about 3 other doors. And I just remember we really gave up. Well, on the third door, we opened and we were like, trick or treat. And this lady just sort of looks out from her curtains. She doesn't even open the door. And when we say trick or treat, she was just like, I don't do that. And just like slammed the curtain shut.
Yeah, and we
Classic.
were like, okay. And I think all the other houses were just kind of like, oh shit, like I didn't
Yeah.
know this was. Oh, yep, I don't have anything.
Bye.
I remember one year going to a friend's place and being like, trick or treat, and they were like, sorry, we don't have anything. So we're like, guess it's trick. And so we went and let their dogs out, and it was actually massively inconvenient for them.
Oh my god,
As
that's
it turns
horrible.
out, the next day she's like, yeah, that was actually pretty hard to get the dogs back in. And I was like, oh, whoops.
That's so cold.
But well, you didn't have any treats, so tough shit.
I remember one
Yes.
time, somebody showed up to mum and dad's place, I think after I'd left for college at least. And, like, you know, like where our mum and dad live, it's a street that just doesn't see like any foot traffic. So they were super caught off guard. And they gave these poor kids, like, I think all they had was like a protein bar.
Yeah, like
Nice.
disgusting, like sugar-free.
Love that.
Yeah. Like a sugar. So like, these kids came trick or treated. And I think they got some grapes and a protein bar. And it's like, I think
Probably
you would have
stoked.
been better off just saying no.
Just being like, trick. I remember some teenagers once coming to trick or treat when we were younger, like when we were just little kids, and then like we didn't have anything, and so they went and turned the hose on in our cubby house.
Oh,
or
yeah.
something.
I remember that. Yeah.
And we were like, that's a decent trick, decent, fair.
I also remember like coming back from America because obviously, like, you know, I lived in America for like 2 years, and I loved the Halloween parties I went to when I was there. So when I came back, I was just like, oh, just in case, and I'd buy a bunch of like chocolate from Woolies to like give out in case anyone came trick or treating, and then inevitably it's like 9 p.m. and no one's come by, so then I just like sad eat like 24 snack size
Sad
Mars bars.
eat, happy eat. That's the dream.
No, it starts off as happy eat, but when you sit and eat
Oh,
all
yeah,
24
sure.
in one sitting with between two people, by the end it's sad
It
eat.
gets
Well, that's like
depressing by the
every.
end.
So like I've lived in this house now for. This is my 4th year living in this house. And so one of my friends who lived with me for the first 2 years is like super anti-Halloween just because she's like doesn't like America or whatever. So she would never let me like do anything. She was like, no, just I really don't like it. And I'm like, okay, fair. So then Hannah came and she's like, oh, Halloween. And I was like, nobody has ever come to trick or treat. Like nobody has. And we live on like just not the sort of road opposite like housing commission, drug dealers down the street, like cops are always here. Nobody would let their kid walk down this street. So anyway, last year Hannah's like, oh no, get some like, please, can you go get some candy and stuff? And I'm like, okay. So I bought like some sort of those wrapped Starburst ones and then some like favorites as well and had like a mix, and nobody came. So then Hannah's like, I'm like, can you take this to work to share it or something? Like,
No.
and she's like, oh, okay. So then I see her like sorting through it. I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, well, I'm keeping all the good stuff for me, and then I'm going to take all the stuff that I don't like to work. And I'm looking at it's all the like lemon and orange Starbursts and all the like chocolates with like pineapple filling or whatever. And I was like, this is just firstly super selfish, and secondly like noticeable. And then she's like, no, like people are just gonna be like, oh, stuff. Anyway, and then she comes back from work, she's like, yes, so somebody walks in and goes, is this just all the shit stuff? Like she goes, yeah.
That is the most Hannah story I've ever heard.
It's so Hannah, it's hilarious.
I can guarantee you her plan was that you would buy it, nobody would trick or treat, and she'd get to eat them.
Yeah,
Like-
so then this year she's like, oh, can you? And I was like, you can't be serious. Like, oh, this is my 4th year living here. Nobody's ever come to trick or treat. And so she convinced me again, or maybe she bought it. I can't remember. I think I ended up buying it again. So I bought some, and then I was like, can you take it to work? And she's just like, no. She two of us just slowly ate it. It like lived in the living room. It was terrible.
Yeah, her original plan was totally that you would just buy it and then she could eat it. And then you said the work thing, and yeah, I know her. She was like, "Oh shit, Georgia's got a point, and I don't want her to judge me too bad." And so she settled on the middle ground of just taking out all the shit flavors, which is just it's so her to think she could just walk in with like giving people only the bad flavors of Starburst and think nobody would notice
Because the thing was too that like if it had sat there for long enough, people might assume like all the good stuff's been eaten, but
Yeah.
it had like just gone out, and they're like, why is it just the shit stuff? And she was like, yeah, it's totally caught out. And like, shit, it's obvious as like so funny.
Oh, yeah. I can see that happening just in a heartbeat. I remember it was always a thing because, like when we get Easter stuff, it was always like you would just eat your Easter chocolates like right away, and Hamwise and I'd play this fucking game of chicken to see who could get our eggs to last the longest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did
And so we'd be
very
like
similar
munching
with
on
my
like little
siblings.
tiny bits of eggs fucking 4 months later.
And I remember there was one time where Hannah still talks about this, where I just like inhaled all of my chocolate instantly, like a bloody snake. And then so I didn't have any chocolate left, and Hannah was eating some chocolate, and I'm like sadly like, oh, I wish I had some chocolate. And Dad's like, here's some chocolate. And Hannah's like, what the fuck? You're rewarding her because she was greedier than me? And I'm just there like, thanks, Dad. A lesson for Hannah: life isn't fair.
Easter really is the holiday that teaches kids how unfair life can be.
I'm pretty sure
Easter
that's
and
what it was
Halloween.
for, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, Jesus came back and was like, yo, kids, life sucks. Get over it.
Sometimes you just got to die for everybody's sins because your dad tells you to or something. Something about parents and life being unfair. The end.
Oh, I still get shit from mum and dad for telling you guys that Santa and the Easter Bunny weren't real on Easter.
I mean, look, I don't remember that. So it kind of had that big an effect on me. I feel like I was strongly suspicious for a long time before anything was confirmed.
I remember not long after it, you and Ham were like, we don't believe in the Easter Bunny anymore. We know he's not real. And so mum said, well, that's fine. You don't get any chocolate.
I
And
mean,
then
it
you
sounds
guys
like
came
something
back.
Mum would do. I'd be like, you
Yeah,
know what? I've had to
it's-
think about it. He probably is real.
No, you guys came back the next day with like a dozen drawings you'd done of the Easter Bilby, which is like this Australian alternative to the Easter Bunny. And you guys legit gave this like PowerPoint presentation with your drawings of like how you believed in the Easter Bilby and you still deserve chocolate. It was the most fucking adorable thing I've
Again,
ever seen.
I don't remember this, but it sounds like something I would have done.
Yeah. Like it was like
Thank you for
Hamwise,
coming to my TED talk about the
Yeah.
Easter Bilby.
Hamwise was standing behind you and you were talking about all this Easter Bilby stuff you'd clearly gotten from a book at the library at school. And like she'd pass you drawings and then you like lift them up as you were making your next point about the Easter Bilby.
That's so adorable.
I do remember being very like invested in the concept of the Easter Bilby and feeling very strongly that we should not celebrate the Easter Bunny in Australia, where they are a feral pest animal and they do ruin the habitats and infest the burrows of our native anyway.
Yeah, that's
This
because
is
you started to
probably
believe your own
verbatim the-
bullshit.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's true, but anyway, I've brainwashed myself.
Yeah, I mean you're not wrong, but
You-
you were thinking it for the wrong reasons.
I wanted
You'll do
jockeys.
anything. You'll believe anything for chocolate.
I
you
want
know.
jockey. And because I remember Mum used to get me Easter Bilbies because
Yeah,
I was
think-
so passionate about it.
Yeah, I think you kind of forever solidified that just with this dorky little presentation.
And in conclusion, give me chocolate. Me want a jockey. And Mum's like, how can I say no?
Oh, well, so that's Shrek.
Yeah, that's that.
Sure is.
Sums up. Good stuff. And I guess that's it. Thanks everyone for tuning in.
Sorry, I'm just finding the outro in our doc. There it is. Yeah. So next month, our January episode will be on Shrek Forever After. The final Shrek movie,
For now.
please.
Didn't
Yeah.
we establish that Shrek 5 was coming out soon or something?
No, I think they said they're doing a reboot instead.
Oh, that's nuts. And we've got Puss in Boots, of course.
Oh yes, yeah. I see. I knew there was something else. Yeah. So we'll be back in February for Puss in Boots.
Mm.
But for January, first of all, it's Shrek Forever After. And thanks for being patrons. And I guess we'll end with our signature outro. 3, 2, 1.
Bye,
Bye,
hoy,
listeners.
And
And
get out of our
swamp.
swamp. And smelly Christmas to all. A Shrek night.
A Shrek night. Elliot, you didn't do the final
You
bit.
didn't.
It was going to be messy enough with the two.
Labeled it. Everyone says this specifically with 3 exclamation points. I assume that's you.
Yeah, that's my handwriting.
And then you didn't do it. Well, it's hard to tell. It's like computer scroll.
No, that's about the same as my handwriting.
Oh. Well, it's chicken scroll.
I always get told it looks like a kindergartner's writing. That's like very consistent feedback I get from entirely separate groups.
Interesting, because I get told I have a kindergarten teacher's handwriting. Which is
that
pretty
must be
accurate.
very neat.
It's extremely neat. People always go, "Are you really a doctor? I thought doctors had messy handwriting." I'm like, right.
To be fair, our dad's handwriting is fucking illegible.
All of my colleagues have disgusting handwriting. There is a very small percentage of us who have legible handwriting, as opposed to like nursing staff where like 85% of them have really neat writing. It is this weird, it's like people, they get to med school and they're like, I don't need these handwriting skills anymore. Like, you do actually need them. Please keep them. Anyway.
I reckon it's probably there's probably some psychological link between the fact that doctors just assume everyone will do what they're saying, whereas nurses are used to having to like struggle to get people to listen to them, so they all write well so people can't claim they couldn't read it.
Yeah.
Whereas doctors are like, yeah, whatever, like people will listen to me, they'll figure it out.
Yeah, and like, I don't know, it's some kind of like, horrible, like, arrogant thing of just being like, people can just sit there and figure out. Like, people and nurses and other people will have this like a sense of pride when they go, oh yeah, I know how to read Dr. So-and-so's writing. It's like, well, like people used to come up to me when I worked like in Armidale Hospital and be like, can you decipher your father's handwriting? It's like, yeah, I can, but he should just write neater. Like, you shouldn't have to be approaching his like family member who spent her childhood trying to, decipher his shopping lists. You should just write so that you can read it. Like, why is it all in caps lock is the other question I still have that he can't answer. Like, it's all capital letters. Why?
I'd forgotten that.
It's just weird. Why would you write in all caps lock? It's weirdly aggressive. So you'd be
Maybe
like,
he's
this is an A. And people are like, how is that an A? It's a capital A. Oh. Yeah.
Maybe he's had his shift key pressed down for decades.
He's actually always yelling.
He's a really angry guy. Cool. Well, we've already done the outro, I guess. This was the post outro.
Yeah,
This
I
is
don't know
the
what
bonus
this is.
content for the true hardcore fans.
I'm gonna press stop now.
Congrats.
Bye.
Bye.
Now que na o na que na o que na o na que o na que now na mi o mi o que now o na mi now na que o na mi o que na o que na mi na que na que na o na que o now na que na mi o now o na mi o que now na mi na que o na mi que o na o que na now na mi que na o que o na o que na o que na o na o na o mi o na que na mi o na o que o na o que o na que o na o que na o na que na o que na o na que o na que now na mi o mi o que now que na